specific questions?
No, just tell me why you're here, and I'll ask you as we go along.
I'll identify myself. My name is Kate Sawatsky. I'm currently a PhD candidate at Boston University in the Department of Microbiology.
Awesome.
And I'm extremely interested in public health disparities in terms of, infectious diseases.
Absolutely.
And so that's extremely important. Because first off, the world is becoming a bigger place. It's becoming easier for different pathogens to travel from one country to another, whereas things used to be endemic in specific regions. Now they become a problem for all of us, and frankly, we should be concerned about everyone around the world. The other issue is that climate change is really affecting how diseases spread.
Right.
So everybody knows now about Zika virus. So that is carried by a mosquito called Aedes aegypti.
Right.
And recently, Aedes aegypti has entered into the United States through Texas and Florida, and these types of diseases that it can carry are now being transmitted within the United States. So this is something that is not just in a faraway place, it's here in our home.
And this is going to happen more and more.
Oh, absolutely.
With pathogens and with invasive species.
Invasive species are a major problem as well. You're absolutely right. So you can see that with things like the reemergence of Ebola as a major outbreak in West Africa. So
that had to be shocking, actually, from what you're.
It is and it isn't.
Right.
It's shocked. The magnitude of it was surprising in the sense that it got into an urban area a lot faster than we would have expected. However, once it got into the urban area, scientists have been warning people for decades that this is the sort of thing that can happen. And frankly, it doesn't stop at Ebola. There are all sorts of different viruses that we know are being harbored in different animal species around the world, particularly in bats.
Right.
And as we move into those environments, as we deforest areas and come into contact with animals that live in the regions, it becomes potentially more of an issue that we will suddenly be exposed to new different types of pathogens.
So the idea of the bird flu, the one that was an epidemic in the early 1900s, and we're on the lookout
Oh yeah,
for.
the 1918 influenza.
Right.
That's an interesting example. It turns out it's been around for a little while.
Right.
But different types of influenza, particularly avian influenza, like you're saying, I believe H5N1.
Right.
We're keeping a very close eye on it. Public health officials are keeping a very close eye on it, particularly in Southeast Asia, as well as Egypt. There are regular small transmissions between animals directly to humans, and what we really want to keep an eye out for is the human-to-human transmission.
Right.
Viruses mutate.
Right.
We know that, and so as they mutate, they always have the potential to become more infectious.
Right.
And potentially, in addition to becoming more infectious, able to transfer from me to you easier, they may also get mutations to become more virulent. So they're more deadly, they're more infectious, or they're more pathogenistic.
They'll enter us and kill us faster.
Yeah.
Potentially.
I like to keep it a little bit more relaxed, but they could cause larger health burdens.
Right.
Yeah. Than anybody would want, of course.
Right.
Yeah. So that's important to me. All of these things are intersectional. It's not just science, and it's not just climate change. It's not just biology. It is all of these things at the same time.
And that's what the Women's March was saying, intersectional feminism, but it's not just intersectional feminism, it's intersectional life.
Yeah. I mean, intersectional feminism, frankly, is a part of this.
Yes.
Who are the people who are most affected by these sorts of health burdens? It's going to be matriarchs, women who are in charge of their families.
Right.
And so the types of funding that we get in science to do these kind of top level and very, very, very low or close level research activities, it's important in a bunch of different ways that aren't necessarily just what does this virus do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And someone I just talked to said that the NIH is proposed to have a huge cut.
Yes. So this is a part of the, and I apologize, I don't remember the name of it, but it's not an official budget because, of course, we know Congress holds the purse strings.
It's a proposed budget, but this is why it's important to speak and show our voices and show that
Absolutely. Yeah.
Not okay.
Representation is absolutely important. When I'm hoping that when Congress sees that people are here and their constituents are here who vote for them, that they will realize that this is something that they need to support. And frankly, in the past, there has been widespread support of scientific funding. It's a little bit shocking. I'd say the most shocking thing is that suddenly there is a movement almost against it when science serves us all hopefully serves us all.
Right.
Yep.
So this is why we're here.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, that was a lot of words.
No, it is not. Do you want to say anything? Okay.
Yeah. All right. So my name is Jonathan. I'm I'm a graduate student in the physics department at Boston University.
Okay.
I'm doing theoretical research into basic quantum mechanics.
Okay.
And I guess the main reason I'm here, I guess, first off, just to be a data point in some ways, but also I feel it is critically important to have to kind of have an emphasis on the future of basically anti-intellectualism, I guess. And basically, our future is in the hands of, being forwards thinking and having, education and making sure the next generation is interested in thinking and critically thinking.
Right.
And basically, anything that deviates away from that, I feel is a very dangerous thing.
Especially where we are right now with world population, with global climate events that we can see are happening.
So it's very important to allow people to pursue what they see as interesting questions, which may not have relevant specific answers. Like for example, there was a speaker earlier who described basic research into how viruses interact with bacteria led to the improvement of artificial insulin.
Okay.
For example, and
it's just saving lots of people's lives,
including myself. And actually, I'm actually type 1 diabetic, so
wow.
I'd be dead if it weren't for science.
Wow.
But that sort of thing where you do science, where you don't have necessarily a knowledge of what it may do,
right, is
critically important, I believe.
We need to preserve these streams of funding and communities.
Yeah, and basically have this broad, just and like I don't know. I feel like that anyone who wants to do science should be able to have the support to do so.
Right.
And I think that's just the way of the future.
Right.
I guess is sort of this emphasis on basically allowing everyone to be curious.
Curiosity, I think, is really, really important, and that we need to, when we can get into our creative selves, we're being the most vital and productive, and moving not only ourselves but our whole civilization forward.
Exactly, and that's kind of the fundamental thing that I see in both science and also in arts and other, just generally it's part of the human experience, I think, and anything that kind of questions that human experience is sort of kind of dangerous.
Yes.
I guess.
Yes, and it's like you see, we're shutting that down right now.
Yeah,
and we're turning around in ways that are frightening.
Yeah, basically, sure, progress can be dangerous, but also no progress is even worse.
Or possibly even going backwards.
Yes, or going backwards. Yes.
Even worse than no progress at all.
Yeah.
So we got to keep moving. We got to keep our voices heard.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. Thank you so much.